guys, let's get started. Today we are going to talk about application. I have completed the installation. Now it's like a clean slate. Well, so we may have one identity called SPR name. So that has been got created, or you may call it imported. From that configuration file import process. Apart from that, we don't have any identity. We don't have any application. We don't have any policy, certification, nothing. So it's our ultimate purpose is to maintain these objects effectively. With the help of this unified portal, Sailpoint, we can manage everything with the help of Sailpoint. But as of now, we don't have anything. So let's start. How to get these identities, first of all. So if you want to get identities from the trusted source, what to do? So that's all about application onboarding. We are going to learn. So what is application onboarding basically?
So what is application onboarding? So application onboarding is very simple. It's a process. The application onboarding, it's a lot of activities is going to involve in this. So you may call it as process. Application onboarding is the process of integrating, or you can call it as onboarding, whatever it may be. We are going to integrate any application within Sailpoint so that we can provide our support to that application at certain level. If you are going to integrate this application, each and every time, no need to rely on application team to check the application status, to get the data. Okay. Once we have everything in Sailpoint, we can manage efficiently here only. Okay. So application onboarding is all about integrating any application. It could be third-party application or maybe any downstream application. We can integrate with Sailpoint and we can manage everything. So here, already we talked about briefly what is auth application, non-auth application, conforming, non-conforming, etc., etc. Let me use whiteboard. Okay. Identity text. Here we have Sailpoint, which we implemented. Now, my question is, if any employee is going to onboard, I think already we talked about that, right? If any employee is going to onboard, what will be the process of hiring? Did I explain already? Okay, no worries. We have an employee called XYZ. He's going to join into Acme FinCorp company. Acme FinCorp is the firm name. So what will happen? What will be the next step? So HR source or HR portal, okay. HR will gather all the information, including personal information, everything, and they will store in their source data, correct? And after that, so whenever employee is going to join any company, HR people will gather their information and they will store those employee information in their portal, in their source data, basically. So this application already integrated with Sailpoint, okay, which means the application onboarding is done for the HR application. Can you name out few HR application currently available in the market? Some advanced HR application. So you should know at least a couple of application names, like Workday is one of them, SuccessFactors, PeopleSoft, Employee Central, Oracle HRMS application. So these are the advanced application what we have currently in the market in the name of HR application. Okay. So these any one of these application will be used by your company. So that application need to be onboard with Sailpoint first. Once the onboarding is done, once Sailpoint is able to communicate with this application, which means in this direction. If Sailpoint is able to make communication with this application, then it's a good sign. So next step, Sailpoint will get the data from this application, from HR application, which means Sailpoint will aggregate the user data. Sailpoint will aggregate the group data so that accounts, identities, and a lot of items will be created in Sailpoint. We can manage efficiently. Okay. It's kind of data synchronization. So the data should be matched from here to here. So in this direction, you can call it as aggregation, which means I'm talking about this one. So you can call it as aggregation because Sailpoint is going to aggregate the data. Or you may call it as reconciliation. So opposite direction, you may call it as provisioning because Sailpoint will provide the access, which means in this target, not HR application, it could consider this is a target application. It could be any application. Now, so in this direction, Sailpoint is going to create user account in the target application. So you can call it as provisioning. Not only create operation, it could be any operation, modify, delete, enable, disable, whatever it may be. So I hope you guys know what is aggregation and provisioning and what is application onboarding. Okay, yeah. Let's take an example, Active Directory. So employee has joined this company. His identity got created via this aggregation process. So this identity can log in into Sailpoint portal, correct? Now he can submit access request to gain this Active Directory application access. Employee will log in into Sailpoint portal. He will submit access request to gain this application. Access request, it's a kind of ticket. So this access, once the access request got submitted, it will go for a certain level of approvals. After that, provision will happen. Okay, I was saying not employer, employee. Okay, they can log in into the Sailpoint portal. Here, we don't have any employer because each and every one, like customer, stakeholder, partner, vendor, employee. So every item we are going to consider as a digital identity, right? That's a core objective of IAM, what we discussed earlier. So any employee, once the identity got created, they can log in into their Sailpoint portal. They can submit access request for themselves or maybe for their subordinate. They can submit access request. Okay, and they can gain the target application access. So those read access, it may be read and write access. So those access permission is already created by the Active Directory team, and Sailpoint already aggregated those group data as well. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So now Sailpoint, the employee will select the right permission, whether they are looking for read access, or whether he is looking for write access, or both. It depends. So based on that, he will choose some entitlement. He will submit access request. Okay. So that request will go for provisioning, and finally the user will get the target application access. I'll demonstrate, no worries. Okay. I'll demonstrate the entire process, but today we will onboard a couple of applications, at least 2 applications. So the employee will join the company. Once the employee joined, HR people, human resource people, they will gather all the information, including personal, correct? First name, last name, email ID, whatever it may be. So these information will get stored into the HR portal, which means it's application. It could be Workday application, it could be PeopleSoft, Employee Central, SuccessFactor, or they may have some different application. So what I'm trying to say, this application is already integrated with Sailpoint because Sailpoint needs some trusted source, genuine data, genuine source, right? So from there, Sailpoint will aggregate or Sailpoint will pull the user data and the identity will be created. So XYZ join a company. So here XYZ identity will be created. So once the identity got created, he will receive an email saying, this is your credential to access Sailpoint application. So he can log in into Sailpoint application, and whatever access he is looking for, he can submit access request to gain the application access. It not only Active Directory, it could be any other application as well. Okay, so consider your Active Directory application team. Okay, so today we have implemented Sailpoint, but from last decade, we are using this Active Directory application and a lot of users are there. They are using Active Directory application, which means Active Directory has the user data, right? They have a place where all the user information will be stored. So from now onwards, application team, that Active Directory team is saying, we cannot manage these users. Okay, we need some other application to manage all the application. This is customer feeling. So now they are going to onboard this application with Sailpoint. Not only this application, they may have plenty of applications. Each and every time we cannot rely on the application team, right? So once we have IAM solution like Sailpoint, we can onboard all application at one place and we can manage all the users very effectively. That's the purpose. So as I said already, this application we can integrate with Sailpoint because today we have implemented Sailpoint. So what about already 2000 users or 2000 employees are using this Active Directory application? Already 2000 user data is available in this application. Now, the moment we have to pull this 2000 application user account as well, right? The moment you are going to start to pull these 2000 user data, the process you can call it as aggregation. The existing user data you are going to pull or you are going to fetch it from the target application. Today you have implemented Sailpoint. So you have pulled all the 2000 user data, that's fine. So tomorrow, some 20 people are looking for this application, Active Directory application. Now you cannot see application, you cannot reach application team to provide the access manually because we have implemented Sailpoint. It's an automated tool, right? So we should instruct Sailpoint to create user account. It could be manually, it could be automatically, whatever it may be, the process. So we should ask Sailpoint to provide the access. So now Sailpoint will take care of that activity. Sailpoint will make sure, so all 20 people, whoever is looking for that Active Directory application access, they should get the access without any interruption. That's the high level idea of implementing, one of the idea of implementing Sailpoint. Here guys, consider we don't have any identities. These identities created manually. So you can skip this, okay? And always remember in Sailpoint, we don't create any identities manually. That's against the policy. Usually the identity will be created in the process of HR application account aggregation, HR application aggregation, okay? We are not going to create any identities manually unless if there is a specific requirement. We don't create any identities manually. Just keep in mind that. Okay, now, guys, except SP admin, we don't have any identities now. So go to application definition. So already you have onboarded. Consider here we don't have any application. We are not able to delete this application directly. So better we'll go to debug page. From there we will delete. And we shouldn't do this, guys, in real-time environment. So select the object type called application, select that particular one, and delete this. And before deleting any object, for a better practice, take a backup of that object. Okay. In Sailpoint, you should follow that. Before deleting anything, take a backup. Okay. So now we are going to do application onboarding. As I said, once again, I'm telling it's a process. It's nothing fancy. Application onboarding is a fancy word. Here we are going to create the application so that we can store all the configuration data like credential information. Basically, we are going to instruct Sailpoint. So we have an application called Active Directory. How to access that application? So we should instruct Sailpoint so that Sailpoint will access the target application, whatever application it may be. Okay, so we are going to provide the credential, where to access, how to access, everything we will mention basically. So click add new application. So and always remember, whenever you are going to do any application onboarding, definitely we require a lot of data, application data, like username, credential, password, whether what type of application is this, what will be the application name, who will provide the IT support for application, whether the application require provisioning from Sailpoint or not, how frequently we are going to aggregate the user data, whether it's a critical application or not, lot of questions will arise, correct? So better we can have a working session. We can schedule a call, we can schedule a meeting, and we can have a working session with application team to gather these information. This could be one of the way. Or else if business analyst is there, then they will get these data behalf of you and they will provide it to you. So you can do this application onboarding very smoothly. So to do that, first we need to onboard the application. Second, we can. Okay, so this application name, you can, okay, let's say already imagine you had a working session, you had a meeting with the application team and you got all the required information from them. So now we are going to onboard this application. as an application onboarding team member, as a support engineer, you have to feed the data at the right place. That's it. We are not going to decide anything on our own. That's very important. So whatever data you got it from application team, you have to feed in Sailpoint. That's it. So this is HR application for full-time employee. Imagine for contractor, they may have some other application. Who will be the application owner? You have to choose the particular identity. So what is the application type? This is very important. Okay. Where the data, source data has been stored, it depends on that. The application type will be decided based on the source data, where all of this data has been stored. They have stored their own data, application data, maybe in database, maybe in some directory, maybe on the cloud, wherever they have stored the data. Based on that, we have to choose this application type. So application type is nothing, it's kind of connector. And already I have explained what is connector. Connector is nothing, it's a mediator between the target application. Once again, I'm saying target application could be any application, any downstream application, any third-party application. Okay, it's a mediator. It will act as a mediator between the target application and Sailpoint so that the aggregation and provision will happen smoothly. Some connector supports only aggregation. Some connectors support aggregation and provisioning both. So make sure you have selected the right connector, and the connector will be decided based on the source data. Connector and application type both are same here. Okay. Now, can you go to LMS portal? I would like to check whether they have provided any source data or not. We are not going to onboard any connector. So the connector is a Sailpoint feature. Okay.
Application types.
Yes. Application type will be decided based on where the data has been stored. As I said, the data could be stored in the database, right? The database means for database, we have a specific connector. If the data has been stored in the directory, like Active Directory or some other application, then for that, we have a direct connector. Some application have the direct connector, like ServiceNow. Let's take an example, ServiceNow. For ServiceNow, we have a direct connector. You got it?
Okay.
For Workday, we have a direct connector. Let me show you that. See, if you want to onboard Workday application, then we have a Workday connector directly. Workday. If you want to onboard Sun1 or Sybase, Top Secret, Rackup, mainframe application, or Salesforce, yeah, we can onboard. Yammer. So we have import one configuration file, right? And we have import a lot of identity objects. And I have shown we have imported some connectors also. So by default, we have more than 70 or 60 out of the box connector. Yeah, this is their source data. Like they will feed employee data, first name, last name, manager name, full name, email, department, which department, region. So these are the field value they are going to store for all the employees. That's fine. Okay, now we are going to onboard this authoritative application. The application name could be anything. This is the source data. So how to pull the data from this application? That's what we are going to perform now. Can you go to Sailpoint? So now the data has been stored in the Excel sheet. It's a comma separated value, the extension type. So whenever if the data has been stored in the Excel sheet and the format is comma separated value, which means .csv files, then you have to choose the connector called delimiter. Okay. Can you select the application type called delimited file? Yeah. If the data has been stored in the database level, then you have to choose JDBC. If the data has been stored in the directory, it depends whether you are going to choose LDAP direct connector or you are going to choose the direct connector called Active Directory. It depends. Sailpoint will pull the data from the HR application because we are not going to create any identities manually. Okay. So the application type is delimited. The moment we have chosen the connector type or application type, the remaining tabs will open, like configuration. So inside this configuration tab, we will feed all the configuration data, application configuration data. Basically, we are going to instruct Sailpoint, try to gather this configuration data so that Sailpoint can access the target application. That's the purpose behind that. Okay. Now we will feed all remaining data, HR application name, owner, application type, description. If they provided anything, we can mention or leave it as empty. Revoker, who has access to revoke this application. If they provide the identity name, you can select this from dropdown or else leave it as empty. So proxy application and profile class, we are not using anymore. So you can skip this. If they have any proxy application and they want to mention, yeah, we can or else skip. So this authoritative application or not, this is very important. What does that mean, authoritative application? trusted one. So here, if you are going to enable this checkbox, which means we are going to instruct Sailpoint. This is the source data which you can rely on. It's a genuine data. So we can inform Sailpoint, basically. So case insensitive. So this application have some data. It could be case insensitive. So we are going to check this so that we can avoid the errors when it comes to provisioning. Okay. Usually we won't uncheck this. Native change reduction. It's a very important chapter. We are going to talk about this later, but have some idea. The moment you have implemented Sailpoint, now you are the authorized person to make any changes in the target application. No one should make the changes on the target application directly. So once you are authorized person, now Sailpoint is an authorized medium. So if anyone is going to make any changes in the Active Directory application directly, it's not the right approach. So Sailpoint will detect those changes as well with the help of this NCD, native change reduction. If anyone is going to make any changes in the application directly, Sailpoint will detect, and based on the requirement, it will escalate. Maybe we can inform user manager, maybe we can remove the access immediately. It depends on the requirement, but we can do that with the help of NCD, and we'll talk about that later. This maintenance enable mode, I will explain in the application onboarding chapter. Now let's go to configuration tab. So here we have 3 tabs: provisioning policy, schema, settings. Provisioning policy, again, we have a separate chapter. It comes under form. Okay. So go to settings. Here we are going to instruct Sailpoint, where the file will be stored, what will be the encoding language, because Sailpoint has to read the file, right? Sailpoint has to read the source data, and where the file will be stored on a daily basis, and what will be the parsing type. We have to mention everything. So can you mention the file path name? I mean, the file path where the file has been decided now. That's it. Go to say file path, mention the file. So C:/auth-employees.csv. What is that CSV? That's very important. Comma separated value.
Yeah.
Because Sailpoint cannot read other file extension like .e, XLS, something. Sailpoint can't read other type of Excel format. Sailpoint will read only CSV format. Okay, encoding language. We have different type of encoding language like UTF-8 and all. Okay, let me take control. Yeah. So it could be UTF-8, UTF-8, BOM, whatever it may be. So we are not going to decide. If application team is going to provide, okay, this is the encoding language which we are following. So in that scenario, you have to mention or else skip. So file transport, where the file has been stored. So as of now, the file is in our local machine. So you can choose local. If the file has been stored, or they are going to update the file on a daily basis, quarterly basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, they are going to store it somewhere, right? They are going to place, replace, or whatever it may be. So it could be a particular server, it could be some drive. So the application team, again, they will provide the shared path. So where they will provide some server name, and we need to access the server, right? So they will provide the credential too. So FTP file transfer protocol, secured copy protocol, whatever. So you can choose that. So parsing type. So we should instruct Sailpoint. Sailpoint is going to access this feed file. Okay. In real-time corporate environment, we will call it as feed file, not as an Excel sheet or spreadsheet. We should call it as feed file. So the feed file contains the user data. So we should instruct Sailpoint how to access this feed. So in that scenario, you have to mention, can you open the feed file? Whenever the iteration is going to happen, Sailpoint will read line by line. The first line, second line, third line. Sailpoint cannot read column A, column B, column C, and all. So we should instruct, okay, column A and column B will be separated by some value, so that Sailpoint will read, okay, column A, this is column A, this is column B, column C. We are paying more attention because you are going to onboard a lot of application in this connector type only. As I said, most of the time, 60% of the application will use this delimited or JDBC connector. Still, they are using. Here you could see column A, employee ID, and column B, first name, is separated by comma. Here, in this scenario, you can consider comma is the parsing type. Instead of comma, it could be pipeline. It could be some other expression as well. So now I'm going to mention comma is the delimiter type. So file has the column header on first line or not. You have to mention. File has a column header, or else Sailpoint will consider the first line as an identity and it will create the identity. So schema, let's go to schema, or else maybe we'll hit the test connection now. First. So unable to open file stream. So Sailpoint is not able to open the file itself. What could be the error? So the double inverted comma that causing an issue.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So once we remove, Sailpoint is able to access the file. Retrieving file stream was successful, but Sailpoint is not able to iterate object. Sailpoint is not able to iterate these identity objects. Whatever employee data it's mentioned in the file, Sailpoint is not able to iterate because the account schema doesn't have any attribute. The account schema means this button. The schema doesn't have any attribute. We have to declare all the attributes one by one. Employee name, first name, last name. Since we have already mentioned the file has a column header, correct? So you should consider these as an attribute. Employee ID is attribute, first name is attribute, last name is attribute. So we should consider these as an attribute. So we have to declare. So employee ID is one attribute, first name, and we can store the values. So how to do that? You have to add it one by one manually. And if you want to delete, yeah, do it manually. Or else just click on the discover schema attributes. All the attributes will be fetched from the file automatically. Employee ID, first name, last name, manager ID, correct? So these attributes will be fetched from this file. So the delimiter type here we have mentioned as comma. Imagine by mistakenly I have mentioned pipeline or I have mentioned this expression as a delimiter. And if I'm trying to add all attributes automatically, it won't. So now Sailpoint will update all the attributes at the single cell because we have mentioned the wrong delimiter type. You got it?
Okay.
So clearly we should instruct Sailpoint. The column A, column B, column C is separated by which delimiter? Okay, so comma is the right delimiter. Click on discover schema attributes. Okay, we have added all the attributes. So now this issue has been fixed, correct?
Yeah.
So now again hit the test connection. Okay, retrieving file stream was successful. There is a failure iterating object. So we have declared that account schema. So that error it's not showing here. Here it's showing identity attribute was not found. So now Sailpoint is trying to read this first line. I mean first user information, James. No. Exactly. We have to declare the unique attribute. So out of these attributes, which column or which attribute you can say this is the unique one? Can you consider first name as a unique? First name, last name, employee ID. For this application, you can consider employee ID is one of the unique attribute. Imagine this application doesn't have unique that employee ID column. Then, so you can rely on email as well. Okay. So now, so as we said, employee ID we can consider as a unique attribute. So you can declare. So this attribute is going to act as a identity attribute. Set as identity attribute. Click on the edit button and click save. That's it. Or else you can do the copy paste directly. Okay. Now go to settings, go to test connection, hit the test connection again. Now the test connection is successful. Always remember, if the test connection is successful, then we are good to onboard this application. So save this application. Because Sailpoint is showing some error, right? Identity attribute was not found. So we have declared this attribute as a unique attribute and we have updated over here. After that, I hit the test connection and the test connection was successful, which means the application what we are trying to onboard, Sailpoint is able to make the communication with the particular application. Sailpoint is able to communicate without any error. So we are good to onboard this application. So that's why I hit the save button. You got it?
Yep.
We have given a clear instruction to Sailpoint. So where is the source data? How to access the data? Correct? What will be the delimiter? Whatever it may be. We have given all the instruction to access the data, and Sailpoint is able to access the data as well. So now go to click on the preview button. And here you could see Sailpoint is able to access the data. So that's why I have saved this application. So now go to identities, identity warehouse, but identity is not created yet. Why? So aggregation is all about pulling the data. The data could be user data, group data, whatever data type it is. Pulling the user data from the target source, target application to Sailpoint. To do that, go to setup, go to task. Forget about all the additional features, whatever we are going to talk about in task, because we have a separate chapter again. To aggregate the data, first click on the new task, go to account aggregation, because we are going to pull accounts, not group. If you want to pull group, then you have to choose this task. Now we are going to aggregate only accounts. We are talking about the user accounts only. Employee ID, first name, last name. Correct?
Okay.
If they provided any entitlement or group data, we could have aggregated those two.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have to mention the task name, HR, source, app, account aggregation. Clearly, we have to mention whether the task is account aggregation or group aggregation. Account is all about user account, pulling user account. Group aggregation is pulling entitlement or groups. Both are same. Okay. So here you have to select the application. So we are going to aggregate the data from this application. And already we have given all the clear instruction to Sailpoint, how to access the data. So now the moment I'm going to execute this task, save and execute means the task will be saved and the task will get executed. Which means once the task has been saved, from next time onwards, no need to create again. Just the existing task you can execute. So the task has been executed now in the background. Go to task results. The task is in progress. Okay. The task status is warning. No authoritative application defined in the system. All identities will be marked as uncorrelated. The task hasn't completed successfully or either ended with error. It's ended with warning. So the task name, what type of task is this? What is the description? Okay. When it got started and completed, everything is there, all information. And here you could see which application Sailpoint has scanned. So this is the application which was Sailpoint scanned. How many accounts were available in the target system? 193 accounts. Already you guys know we have our own database called Sailpoint Identity IQ, correct? In the MySQL Workbench application. And the particular database has a column and tables called SPT_identity. And all user information will be stored there too. Do you guys remember? I have shown for SP admin identity. So now Sailpoint is able to validate, Sailpoint is able to see 193 accounts were available in the target application. Now Sailpoint will validate these 193 accounts with his own database, whether these accounts are available in Sailpoint or not. If these account is not available in Sailpoint, then the identity will be created. That's the purpose. That's the purpose behind this. Okay. So that's the idea of behind this identity creation. So 192 accounts were not available. So Sailpoint has created those identities. One identity got updated. Now you can go to identity warehouse, and here totally 193 identity got created. Whatever task as a support engineer, L1, L2 guy, whatever task ended with warning or failure, you should take care of that. So here the task ended with warning, right?
Yeah.
It's not success. And the errors and the warning message says no authoritative application defined in the system, which means we haven't declared any of the application as a trusted source. That causing an issue.
No.
Now open that particular application, declare this application as an authoritative application so that Sailpoint can rely on this data. Go ahead and execute the same task. Once again, I'm saying no need to create it again since we have this task in place. So just right click and execute in the background. That's it. Each and every task will have a lot of arguments. We'll talk about that in the particular chapter. Okay. Sorry. So here you could see this time not 191 identity got created. Correct? It's optimized. Sailpoint is able to scan this application and 193 accounts were available. When trying to validate with his own database, Sailpoint could see already these accounts were available. So those accounts got optimized, not created. And 2 identity got updated. The source
Okay.
data could be couple of, maybe 1 or 2 applications. We cannot have a lot of applications. Maybe for full-time employee, we can have 1 application. For contractor people, we can have another application. Apart from that, I never seen we have we have couple of applications such as HR application source data.
Okay.
It depends on the project requirement once again. So now the identity got created, and in the backend, some email would have been already triggered with the credential. So now 1A is an identity, right? Is the identity. Already has received the credential. Imagine admin 123. So his username is 1A and he got the credential. And with the link also. He can access this link. He can provide his credential. He can log in basically. So 1A employee he is able to log in into Sailpoint portal, correct? He cannot access identity, he cannot access application tab, he cannot access any other remaining tabs. He got some basic or minimal access.
Yeah.
Now, if he is looking for Active Directory application access, yeah, he can go to Manage My Access tab. Whatever access he is looking for, he can submit access request, basically. Okay. Okay, so in real-time environment, it depends on the project, how many applications we are going to onboard. The max I have seen 6,200 applications for one banking client. Okay. And I have seen 250, 300 applications as well. And we have to talk about remaining tabs also. We have talked about only 2 tabs, correct? Like details and configuration. We didn't talk about this remaining correlation accounts and all. So tomorrow we'll talk about that. In our system, in our Sailpoint application, we haven't declared a single application as authoritative application. That causing an issue. Now we have declared, right? From now onwards, whatever non-authoritative application, whatever you're going to onboard, it won't throw the warning. At least we should have one application as a trusted source in the system. Okay, so we should talk about application onboarding questionnaire session kind of thing. What kind of question we can ask? One thing. Audit once. The application type could be anything. It could be security application, SOC application, audit, whatever it may be.
Okay.
They definitely have some source data, correct?
Yeah.
Where the data has been stored. Based on that, we can choose a connector type or application type.
Okay.
If the connector is not available, let's take an example. The connector is not available with Sailpoint.
Yeah.
Then we will reach the developers to build the connector.
Okay.
What is connector? Connector is nothing. It's a piece of code. They has to be proficient on Java. They should be a hardcore developer to build the connector.
Okay.
So they will clearly mention, they are going to again instruct Sailpoint how to aggregate the data and how to make the provisioning. This is what they are going to mention in the connector clearly. Whatever, whether it could be a minor change or major change, it will be deployed as part of the release management.
Okay.
In Sailpoint.
Okay.
You should mention the file path, parsing type. You have to add all attributes. If you want to do it manually, it's up to you. Or else you can click on the discover schema attribute. Once the test connection is success, you can create a task. You can execute the task. You can aggregate the data. You can pull the data. So now this HR application and Sailpoint application will be in synchronized state, right? Both application. Whatever data is going to update in the HR application, on the same day or the next day, Sailpoint will consume those data into Sailpoint, correct?
Yeah.
You got it?